Holy Spirit, fill this room. Shekinah glory, sweet perfume. We need your presence, Lord. We need you. Holy Spirit, fill this room. Holy Spirit, fill this room. Shekinah glory, sweet perfume. We need your presence, Lord. We need you. Holy Spirit, fill this room. Holy Spirit, fill this room. Holy Spirit, fill this room. This room. Fill this room.
This room.
There's nothing worth more that could ever come close. Nothing can compare. You're our living hope. Your presence, Lord. I've tasted and seen of the sweetest of loves when my heart becomes free and my shame is undone, undone, undone. Your presence, Lord. Holy Spirit, you are welcome here. Come flood this place and fill the atmosphere. Your glory, God, is what our hearts long for, to be overcome by your presence, Lord. Your presence, Lord.
There is only one life. That life is whole, perfect, and complete. I and everyone here and those who are not here are one with that life. That life is all loving, all soothing, holds infinite possibilities for each and every one of us. I speak my words this morning for East Bay Church of Religious Science. And I affirm its total existence in the assistance of every soul, moving, grooving, on their journey to everlasting life. I am knowing that our God is in this sanctuary. Holding us at the highest level. Loving every perfect and imperfect aspect as we see it. Each and every moment of the day. I feel so blessed to have this place to worship, to soothe my essence. I am blessing every member that's here today, every visitor. I'm blessing everyone on live stream. I'm blessing everyone that thought to come but didn't. I'm surrounding our board of trustees with absolute love. I'm affirming true love for our minister, Reverend Celeste Frazier. I am affirming the same love for our assistant minister, Reverend Anthony. And for our emerita, Dr. Reverend Eloise Oliver. I'm holding the high watch with the rest of my practitioners. I'm surrounding them with love and joy and peace at this Christmas time. I am knowing that we're moving at a very quick pace. We cannot necessarily see wherefore we go, but we trust and know that God is moving us in a perfect and right direction. Every day, all day. And I give thanks.
Yes.
And so it is.
And so it is.
Let us become more aware of your presence. Let us experience the glory of your goodness. Let us become more aware of your presence. Let us experience the glory of your goodness. Let us become more aware of your presence. Let us experience the glory of your goodness. Let us become more aware of your presence. Let us experience the glory of your goodness. Your presence, Lord. Holy Spirit, you are welcome here.
Good morning. And God bless you for coming out in the rain. It makes it even better. Even better. Could I have you stand for our declarations of principles? I said it made it better to come out moving through the rain to get here, because anything you work hard at, always, when you get there, it's just better. It's better. You know, working for a goal and then you get it, you know. We're going to repeat in unison what we believe. We believe in God, living Spirit Almighty, one indestructible, absolute, and self-existent cause. This one manifests itself in and through all creation, but is not absorbed by its creation. Manifest universe is the body of God. It is the logical and necessary outcome of the infinite self-knowingness of a God. We believe in the individualization of the Spirit in us, and that all people are individualized one Spirit. We believe in the eternality, the immortality, and the continuity of the individual soul forever and ever expanding. We believe that heaven, and that we experience it to the degree that we become conscious of it. We believe in the ultimate goal of life, to be a complete freedom from all discord of every nature, and that this goal is sure to be obtained by all. We believe in the unity of all life, and that the highest God and the inmost God is one God. We believe that God is personal to all who feel his indwelling presence. We believe in the direct revelation of truth through our intuitive and spiritual nature, and that anyone may become a revealer of truth who lives in close contact with indwelling God. We believe that the universal spirit, which is God, operates through a universal mind, which is the law of God, and that we're surrounded by this creative mind, which receives the direct impress of our thoughts and acts upon it. So if we could just stop a moment, breathe, and just read that one more time, because it's telling us how much control we really do have of our day-to-day lives. All we have to do is believe it. So let's just read it one more time. We believe that the universal spirit, which is God, operates through a universal mind, which is the law of God, and that we are surrounded by this creative mind, which sees the direct impress of our thoughts and acts upon it. We believe in the healing of the sick through the power of this mind. We believe in the control of conditions through the power of this mind. We believe in the eternal goodness, the eternal loving kindness, and the eternal givingness of life to all. We believe in our own soul, our own spirit, and our own destiny, for we understand that the life we live is God.
Thank you so much, Brenda, practitioner. Good morning, good morning. I'm Reverend Celeste Frazier, spiritual leader of the East Bay Church of Religious Science. Thank you for being here. I want to point out a couple of things about the Declaration of Principles that we're going to be with today in our being in this whole thou art that state of consciousness. The first thing is we believe in the individualization of the Spirit in us, and that all people are individualizations of the one Spirit. So look to your neighbor and say, good morning, Spirit. Good morning, Spirit. And the second thing I would like to point out from our Declaration of Principles is we believe in the eternal goodness, the eternal loving kindness, and the eternal givingness of life to all. So being with that and just knowing that love is eternal, kindness is eternal, givingness is eternal. Not just in December. Amen. Amen. Yes. The other thing I want to point out to you is that there are practitioners who are here. Brenda King Randall is one. They have a purple stole around their necks, and that means they're available to pray with you. That means they're available to celebrate with you. That means they're available to hold the truth for you. A couple of them are holding vigil for us during the service, so we hold their consciousness in such high regard that we know that they're holding everything up for us, so nothing could possibly go wrong in this service because they're holding that watch. That's a high vibration to hold. And they're also available to each of us after service in our prayer room just off of the fellowship hall. I want you to know by walking into this sanctuary, you're walking into a field of love. And so whether this is your first time or your 1,000th time, know that you are accepted just as you are. Sexuality, gender, non-gender, whatever kind of religion, no religion, economic status, hair color, whatever. We welcome you. And I didn't just say that because you walked in with this beautiful pink hair. We welcome you just as you are. And just know that it's safe here and that you can make yourself at home. I'd like to ask if this is your first time at East Bay. Would you be so kind as to stand so that we may confer a blessing upon you at this time? First timers, please stand. Yes, yes, yes. Please remain standing. Please remain standing as the congregation repeats after me. Welcome to the East Bay Church of Religious Science. We know who you are. You are an individualization of love, of intelligence, of beauty. You are a special way that God is happening on this planet. We thank God for you. Welcome to the East Bay Church of Religious Science. Please take your seats with honor. Let those beautiful roses remind you of the beautiful spirit that indwells you. Let yourself open up that packet and complete the form. Leave it with us at our membership and visitor table so that we may stay in touch and let you know about all the wonderful events that happen at East Bay. There are lots of great things that happen at East Bay, and you want to be a part of it, I'm sure. Now, we get to reach out. We may reach out for somebody's heart and get their hands. You may want to hug. You may want to smile.
As you're getting back to your seats, we're going to have our community opportunity now. You didn't get to hug me? Oh, everybody. But you'll be able to do it again after service. So Precious, if you'd come forward. Good morning, East Bay. Good morning. Great. Nothing quite says the holidays like a lot of rain and a great day, but to look out and see everyone in their holiday colors and just feeling the energy of the season emanating from each of you, I know we are all in the right place this morning. Amen. All right. As always, we have a lot going on here at East Bay, so please bear with me. I understand that some of the announcements that I sometimes include are not printed, so we do have a calendar document in the vestibule area across from the gratitude tree. You can take that, post it on your refrigerator, and you will be up to date on everything happening here in the church for the next couple of weeks. So let's get started. The East Bay Practitioner Corps invites everyone to come together in prayer each Monday this month. It is their gift to each of us. All are invited to join the practitioners tomorrow and next Monday, December 30th, in the prayer room. Prayer will begin promptly at 6:30. We invite you to bring your family to our Christmas Eve celebration of love and light. There is, in fact, a flyer for the candlelight service in your bulletins today. This year's sacred service, the last candlelight service of the decade, will take place on Tuesday, December 24th at 6 p.m. So please bring your favorite dessert and your light spirits, and we'll have a lovely dessert reception afterward. We look forward to celebrating with each of you. All right, at this time, I would love to welcome someone from our Kwanzaa team to come and speak on our Kwanzaa celebration.
My name is Amar Casey, and we are celebrating our 17th Kwanzaa celebration. We think this is going to be an especially wonderful one. You know, Kwanzaa is based upon an African first fruit celebration, which has 7 days. And on this day, which is on Saturday, December the 28th from 4:30 to 7:30, we're celebrating Ujima, which is collective work and responsibility. And we really need all of you to come out and support us. It's going to be a wonderful celebration this year. We've got 2 master drummers, one of whom has won an Emmy Award for their skill. A Grammy Award for their musical skill. We're going to have poetry. We're going to have the men's choir singing. We're going to have Reverend Celeste giving us real insight as to the meaning of the principle of that day. So it's really going to be a wonderful celebration. Let me tell you this too. Afterwards, we're going to give the kids gifts, the Wadi gifts they're called, which is going to be wonderful. I mean, last night they spent hours, it was like Santa's workshop or something, wrapping gifts for the children and everything like that. So that's going to be wonderful. And let me tell you this too. Last week we had a bake sale. That was just a teaser for the food we're going to have ready for the feast at the Kwanzaa. It's going to be big. So we really want you to come out, and also know the reason we've been able to do this 17 years is because of your support, because you have been coming out and volunteering and supporting us, and we need volunteers again this year. So come and see the Kwanzaa table in the back, and please volunteer. We especially need ushers to help us on the day of the event. Now, we also have put flyers inside of your program. If you want more flyers to pass out to our friends and family to come to the Kwanzaa next Saturday, please pick some up at the Kwanzaa table. Thank you, and hope to see you there.
All right. So next to the mic will be Wanda Kinsey with the U.S. Census Bureau sharing some community information.
Good morning. Good morning. I am honored to be here. Thank you, Reverend Celeste. My name is Wanda, and I am employed with the U.S. Census Bureau here in Oakland. This is a twofold thing. So it's very important that you participate in the census because we are underrepresented and underserved here in the city of Oakland, especially East Oakland, North and West Oakland as well. It's twofold. The census happens every 10 years, and everyone must be counted, whether you're in the state of California visiting here, whether you're a citizen or non-citizen. It is very important that you be counted. So there's a survey that's going to come to your home in the month of April. We ask that you complete it, send it in to DC, and it is said that for every household that completes the census, that's $19,500 that goes into your community. It goes into your community, and it's important because it determines the number of seats in the U.S. House of Representatives. And also one thing that bothers me is when I'm in my neighborhood and I'm in East Oakland, I see senior citizens standing at the bus stops, and that kind of bothers me. We're entitled to simple things like that, just nice benches to sit on and covering, especially in this cold weather. The census jobs, they range from $20 to $27.50 an hour. There are full-time and part-time positions as well. There is no age limit, but you do have to be at least 18 years of age, be a U.S. citizen, and have an email address and a phone. Let me see. I believe the jobs usually last for about 2 months, but I've been there employed since May 15th. Also, there's been people that have been employed since January. So I'll have my table set up there. If you need any information, if you have any questions whatsoever, please feel free to ask me, and I will be glad to answer them for you. But if you're interested in employment, please fill out the sign-in sheet, and I'll answer all questions, and I'll remain through the service, okay? Thank you for your time. Thank you, Reverend Celeste. I appreciate it.
All right. So once again, to reiterate to our visitors, thank you for choosing to spend this morning with us. Don't forget after service to take your visitor form once it's completed and just take it by our visitor information table / membership table so you can get the gift of today's service to carry out with you. Membership matters here at East Bay. And our membership ministry is available to answer your questions after service. They will have a table in the fellowship hall, so please just stop by. If you have questions about your membership, if you need to confirm the information that we have for you, which I do encourage everyone to do, or if you are a long-time friend of East Bay and you're ready to make that jump into membership, they are there to answer your questions. Going back to that information, it's the end of the year. We all know tax season is coming. We all like to get those notifications so we can get all the documents together and what have you to get them to our accountants or figure it out ourselves with TurboTax. We need your email addresses and correct information so we can get that information to you so you can go ahead and take care of your business. Please make sure to do that today. In addition, we want to be able to celebrate each and every one of you, so we'd love to know your birthdays as well as your emergency contact information. So it's just a couple of minutes. Stop by the desk. The team there, absolutely lovely, and they will help you take care of that. If you are interested in membership, please note that the next new members orientation will begin on January 19th. It's now a 2-week orientation process. Again, if you have any questions, please just see any member of our membership team. And as we begin to prepare, if you haven't started already, for the new decade to come, this is a perfect time for wisdom. So put your best foot forward for this new decade and take a class. Our winter classes will begin on Tuesday, January 7th. You can register online or complete the forms available in the fellowship hall. Our roster of classes includes treatment and meditation led by our own Arlene King, 4T Prosperity led by Reverend Celeste, Destination Manifestation led by our own Al Gibson and Rosanna Martinez, and Más allá de los límites. I took French, not Spanish, but I'm very excited about this class. So it's Beyond Limits, being taught entirely in Spanish by one of our newest practitioners, our own Myra Sura. So definitely there's a lot going on, guys, a lot of opportunity to grow in philosophy, knowledge, all the things. So don't start the new year without starting a new class. All right, it's interesting. I think I've got new contacts and they're reacting to the screen. Anyway, this is the season of gratitude, generosity, and grace. So please, if you haven't already, make sure to stop by in the vestibule and experience our gratitude tree. It's ready for you to give your name and donation so you can literally become a part of this building and East Bay. You can make your donation in the bookstore, on the kiosk, or online, and we look forward to seeing your name as part of our gratitude celebration. Along those lines, our Better Together campaign is in progress. It's our third annual, in fact. With Better Together, we come together, so many togethers, to support East Bay and plan for the future. Your pledges over the years have made a huge difference, and every pledge matters, no matter the amount. So be sure to go online, stop by the Fellowship Hall kiosk, or see an usher for a pledge form and make your commitment today. Finally, a note from our bookstore. If you, like me, are a last-minute holiday shopper and need some gifts for those hard-to-find people, stop by the bookstore. There are some great holiday items available for sale. Stock up. Thank you all.
And before we get in our congregational song, I want to emphasize prayer on Monday. I think I'll do it by talking about me. I am a licensed practitioner at East Bay Church of Religious Science. I've been here almost 25 years. And I still get up in the morning and call my prayer partner for prayer. Amen. And I call her because I need it. Yes. There is so much going on in this world, in this United States, in my household. And you want to stay friendly. And you want to smile. And the prayer helps me do that. So I want to emphasize to you that we're here Monday, 6:30. And we're waiting for you to come. So we can give you prayer and we can get some more prayer. Amen? Vanessa Wynn, Daryl on drums, Rodney on guitar, and the East Bay Church Choir.
This morning, oh, this morning, yeah. Something woke me up this morning. It must have been, it had to be, I know it was the hand of the Lord. Something woke me up this morning, this morning, this morning. Something woke me up this morning. It must have been, it had to be, I know it was the hands of the Lord. Something woke me up this morning, this morning, this morning. Something woke me up this morning. It must have been, it had to be, I know it was the hand of the Lord. Now you all sing together with everybody with you. Here we go. Nothing woke me up this morning. This morning. Come on, East Bay. This morning. Something woke me up this morning. It must have been, it had to be, I know it was the hand of the Lord. While I was sleeping, there was something that was keeping me. Something woke me up this morning. Must have been, it must have been, it had to be, I know it was the hand of the Lord. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Choir. The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? God's the strength of my life, day and night. No need to be afraid.
Where I see God's face and get peace for my troubled mind. Spirit carries me
Over mountains,
Spirit comforts me
through the valley.
when I'm going through a storm. Protected in His arms.
Protected in His arms.
Oh, I know Spirit loves me. That's why I say, in your life
and my salvation.
tell me
Whom shall I fear? God's the strength of my life,
day
and night. No need to be afraid.
when ego tries to destroy me, try to make me fall. God puts me on a rock, out of the reach of it all. When challenges seem to hurt me, I don't have to worry. I'm in His care, not just here, but everywhere. I go to that sacred place where I see God's face and get strength to go on. Spirit carries me over mountains. Spirit comforts me when I'm going through a storm. I'm protected in His arms. Ooh, I know Spirit loves me. That's why I say,
The Lord is my light
in your life,
and my salvation.
tell me
Whom shall I fear?
God is my strength, my strong tower, my hiding place. From day to day, God is my strength, my strong tower. And you know what? Though I walk through the valley,
The shadow
no.
know that you're not alone.
Ooh,
And my
my salvation. Tell me who, yeah. God is. Day and night, night and day. No need.
The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? God's the strength of my life, day and night.
No. God is my light and your light. My salvation. Tell me who.
Shall I fear? God's the strength of my life, day and
No need, no need.
no need to be afraid. The Lord is my light. Thank you.
Yes, you are. That's the East Bay Choir. That's Vanessa Wynn directing. Rodney Street on lead guitar. Daryl Thompson on drums. We had a solo from Chris, honey. Yes, yes. Homie is the I Am as this music ministry. We're so grateful for them, aren't we? Yes. Could you bring down the volume just a little bit? I'm going to try to hold on to this headset, okay? Thank you so much. That's better. That's great. Thank you so much. So, holy is the I Am. Holy is the I Am. That means I am whole. That means I am complete. So any idea that you think something is missing is mistaken. Look to your neighbor and say, nothing's missing, child. You're whole. You're perfect. Oh, please don't come up to me acting like you're not perfect. Please don't come up to me saying, oh, if only. Amen. Please don't come up to me forgetting that you are the expression of God. Yeah. And I don't mean by your attitude toward me. I mean about your attitude toward you. Yeah. Please don't forget that God doesn't make mistakes. Perfection is not capable of making mistakes. Everything about you is good. Everything. Everything. I mean, they were singing, precious is the I Am. Do you have any idea how precious you are to the Creator? I mean, it's beating every beat of your heart. This Creator is absolutely supporting you, driving through the rain. Is absolutely supporting you, giving you food to eat. There's no reason for anybody to be hungry. I mean, there's enough food in the world, but there's also enough food at East Bay because we do feed people. We do feed people at least twice a month, and that's on Wednesdays. And if you come on potluck Sunday, you eat pretty good. And if you come when somebody's trying to raise some money through a bake sale, well, I'm not going to say it's going to be healthy eating, but it's going to taste good. So God is always taking care of us, even in the darkness. Happy solstice. Solstice, winter solstice started yesterday and it's going on today and tomorrow. I used to think that it was just one day of solstice because yesterday was the shortest day of the year, but this is a process. There's some interesting things going on. You know, the earth is tilting, right? And it's tilting for those of us above the equator, away from the sun. And the positionality is such that we appear to be kept in the dark longer than we are in the light. I say appear to be kept in the dark. Amen. You cannot be kept in the dark when you are light itself. So rather than looking for light outside of yourself, the invitation is to recognize, re-know, re-understand that this light is already within you. We are in the midst of winter solstice where it appears that the sun stops moving. It appears that the sun stops moving. How in the world is that ever going to happen? You know, the sun is this exceptional solar energy that is actually providing us with electricity even when it's not bright. It's still doing the work of powering us. And this is what we need to know, that it's not going to be away from us. It's just going to be in a separate place than we are geographically when it appears that it is not present. Because there's a movement, there's an omniactive presence that is moving everything. And there are moments when you have to go through darkness so that you can appreciate the light. Did anybody hear me? There are moments when you go through darkness that make you appreciate the light even more. Oh, y'all act like y'all don't know what I'm talking about. You don't want to find out. But it's inevitable that there are going to be some shadows in our lives because our own ego, as Chris was singing about, can get us into an effect or an experience because we forgot that we were the light and we've been stumbling around in the dark and we're groping thinking that, we're always going to be in the dark and so confused and seemingly helpless. And yet there is something that is just waiting for us to give it our attention. Just waiting for us to turn to it, right? And so there's this wonderful way of us knowing that there's something about us that is special and something about us that is unique. And we may not find that out until we run into a dark cloud. We may find that we have some wisdom that we weren't aware of. Sometimes they used to have in the cartoons where a light bulb would go off. That's a symbol of your eternal light. That's a symbol of your eternal wisdom. It just may appear sometimes that you're stuck on stupid, but it's not true. Unless you buy into that thought. Again, as Brenda pointed out, it's all about what thought that you are buying into that determines what your experience is going to be that follows. Because you can believe in anything, but you're always believing in something. Yes. So we've been talking about Thou Art That from the Joseph Campbell book, which is rich, which is fabulous, which is glorious. I hope you're enjoying it. I don't know how many we have left in the bookstore, but what a wonderful gift that would make. Okay, back from a word from our sponsor. So there's something that is transcending us. There's an aspect of us. I'm going to call it the Christ. You can call it the Atman presence. You can call it whatever you want to call it. But it is that absolute connection with God that we are. So that essence, that vibration, that energy, that consciousness, that is transcending all kinds of seeming conflicts. It's transcending even a conflict that you think you're having with God. Amen. Oh, don't get quiet. I know sometimes you get an attitude with God. I know you sometimes say, God, why would you let this happen? As if God is the only power and that you are not carrying the power of God within you. So now you could say, why did I let that happen? But we have a tendency to want to blame something on other people, because I'm not saying we don't have a responsibility. I'm just saying we don't always take responsibility. So there's something that Jesus showed us about our Christhood in its life. It actually started in the beginning, and I'll talk more about that on Tuesday night because I know y'all will be here for the candlelight service. It's so precious and so pure and so lovely what is happening on Tuesday night, because we are in a vibration of that new birth. That newness and that clear shining light that is unmistakable even from across continents. Amen. And so even in Asia, The light that is in Africa is able to be seen as it is calling forth something in us to be more. It is calling for us to be on purpose. It is calling for us to listen to the light within us. It is calling for us to see the light that is guiding us. It is calling for us to be as God needs us to be, as God is revealing itself through each of us. It's not just limited to the 3 wise men, or it might be some 3 wise women, or some 300 wise women, or some 3 million wise women, or some 30 million wise women too. Because we know that gender is just an idea. So now, I'm thinking about this Christ being that symbol that is uniting us between true man and true God, according to Joseph Campbell anyway, and that even through the process of descending into earth and all of the hellish experiences that earth may bring, that Jesus does this, darling, before it ascends into heaven. And so if you ever had to get up from being at the bottom, then you know that when you get up, that there's something so much more satisfying being upward than it is being in the gutter or being at the bottom, if you have ever experienced that at all. So there's a wonderful way that we get to humble ourselves. And humble is not a word that we use too very often, because it's not something that's sexy or appealing. Humble means, and it doesn't mean that you're making yourself less. That's something else. That's ego. That's inferiority. That's craziness, right? Superiority, inferiority, it's all bizarre. But because what is true is that there is a way that we can become obedient, available, accessible, present to the energy of this light, the energy of this wisdom. And that's the kind of humility that Jesus was having on the cross. Oh, some people thought that it was a manual for suffering and that's the way that we needed to do life. What in the world gave you that idea? Was it the nails in the hands? Was it the nails in the feet? That was only saying, I don't care what you do to me. I don't care whatever it is that you do. You can stab me in my side. I don't care if you puncture my hands or my feet. I don't care if you put nails around my head. I don't care what you do. I know something is beyond this, and that I'm going to move through this. See? You have to know that. And that was just a model, right? That was just a model. That was Jesus saying, I've come as an example. Jesus wasn't saying, I've come as an example for what it is to be tortured. Jesus wasn't saying, I've come here as an example for what it is to suffer beyond any kind of reason. That's not the example that Jesus was making. Jesus was saying, I and my Father are one. So I don't have to sweat this, okay? So transcending, he was transcending all conflict. And Lord knows that looked like some real conflict. And so humbling yourself allows you to encompass both the eternal and the temporary terms, right? So this is only temporary. I don't have to sweat this because I'm available to the eternal. So we're talking about this eternal life. And just as solstice is showing us kind of a rebirth, because, you know, when we get past Monday and the days start getting longer again, we're like moving through this death and resurrection as it is this play that is going on in the heavens between the moon and the stars. And what's happening is we are passing beyond the rebirth to a transcendent light. We talked about this a little bit on Wednesday night. That transcendent light is the light that we want to become transparent to, because that transcendent light is eternal. That transcendent light is not encumbered by situations, circumstances, and conditions. That transcendent light is not affected by experiences, right? It's not affected by effects. Nothing is going to change that transcendent light that we each have within us. And so we're knowing that the moon may be this thing that we see in the sky, and we may see some light moons, some bright moons. We may see some moons with darkness in it, right? And so when we see a little bit of the darkness in the moon, when we think about, when we think about the sun, you don't see any darkness in the sun. Did you notice that? Did you notice that the moon may have spots, but the sun does not? The sun does not have spots of darkness, right? So there are only, even in our experiences, only shadows. There's not real darkness. There's only shadows of forces, right? And the forces are those aspects of ourselves that have chosen not to be open to the light. Humility makes us available to be open to the light. So, presuming that there is a doorway to the sun where we can be available to its light, then the only entryway would be the return of the lost one. You know, there's always some talk about somebody being lost. Oh, I know that don't apply to anybody here who's not human, because it applies to everybody that's human, that you've been lost. When the people wrote that song, I once was lost and now I'm found, they weren't talking about geographically. They were talking about when they forgot to go to look toward the light, when they forgot to make themselves available to the light. You know, because the shadows are distracting us, and we create the shadows with our own ego, with our own physical attention. And when we're not paying attention to the non-physical, the eternal, the essential, the light, then we are then creating and casting a shadow on our own light, and that's when we forget who we are. So, if you were previously lost in the spheres and the shadows of time, oh, you know what that is. That's unforgiveness. You're lost in the shadows of time. You're still thinking about something that happened last week. You're still thinking about something that happened 3 months ago, 3 years ago, 30 years ago. You're still holding on to that. Yes, amen. And that is your very opportunity to be open to the light, if you can let go of it. See, if you can let go of it. Now you're like, I'm trying, Reverend, but I just don't know how to do that. You know, I'm just going to make it really, really simple. Go within, so that you can be in the eternity of your own truth, so that you can be in the eternity of your own being. Your eternal aspect of yourself does not get tripped up on the nonsense. The eternal aspect of yourself is not distracted or preoccupied by the nonsense. The gossip, the power plays, the ego shadow boxing. It's not getting caught up into that. Otherwise, you could not be an eternal being. So that part of you that has never been hurt, that part of you that has never been endangered, that part of you that is pure and absolute, that is your light, your spirit, your essence. That's the part of you that was never born and will never die. And that also carries the insight. And that's the relationship that we have with the sun, because it represents our insight, because that solar light is absolutely a symbol of that insight. You know, to know that there is light And that even if you don't see it, even if you can't connect with it, it is still there. So when we get caught up in the suffering, when we get caught up in that, please know that suffering and bliss are part of the same dance, right? Like if you think of any kind of dance, that dancing requires some part of your body to go in two different directions, right? I don't care if it's this way or if it's this way or whatever it is, or if it's up and down or whatever it is, it requires your body to go in two different directions at least. And so when you're knowing that it's just a dance, then you don't get caught up and say, well, I got stuck in one position and it was somebody else's fault. You were still at a point of choice. Because if you decided to stay in suffering and you decided that, I'm really into being a masochist, right? And that I just want to enjoy suffering because I bought into somebody else's description that Jesus wanted to be a model for torture, right? But if you know that there's another option and that option is essentially joy, also called bliss, if you know that there is an option for you to change positions, know if the moon didn't show you, there's an opportunity for you to change positions. If the sun didn't show you, there's an opportunity to change positions. Know that you are not stuck in any situation, circumstance, or condition, that you continue to have the light within you, the wisdom and the knowing that is already known in your essence. So when the people were traveling from the Far East and coming to a space and a place where they could really be able to embrace the light of their being, because wise people want to know more. Don't you know that? Wise people always want to learn more. Wise people always remain curious. That no wise person will say, well, I have enough information. I need not know anymore. Right? That's something else going on. They're going to need some attention, and we'll talk to y'all more next year about mental wellness and how we're going to support you with that. Okay? But this is a state of hell. This is a state where people are so bound to their ego lives and their selfish values that they cannot open out to a transpersonal grace. They cannot open out to grace. And this has been the theme all year. Anchored in love, unlimited by grace. Because love is a given. Love doesn't go nowhere. Right? Love is a given. And then unlimited by grace must mean that there's always going to be a light that is leading me to a greater understanding. That there's always going to be a light that is warming my heart. That there's always going to be a light that is supporting me from the bottom up and from the top to the bottom. I don't care if you're walking on hot sand or if you're right in the direct beam of the sunlight. There's always going to be a light that is available to each and every one of us. And so for those people that were trying to tell me about purgatory when I was in Catholic school, and I was looking at them sideways, I have a better idea, because even though I knew that babies were not going to purgatory for something called mortal sin, I said, well, this is crazy, because this is not the God that I know. The God that I know is a God of love. But Campbell has helped me to see that purgatory is a learning place. They just represent it in the religiosity as a way station. Like, this where you're going to be till you figure out what you should have done in the first place, right? And then when you figure that out, then we'll let you go on and be in your bliss. This is not meant to be an extended period of time, people. Okay? Purgatory is something that you can get in an instant. You can learn in an instant. It doesn't require all drawn out that you have to be a professional student in order to be able to learn that God is available, your good is available, that love is here, that light is here, that wisdom is yours. So understand that in terms of thinking about eternal life, it goes beyond the death and rebirth aspects like moon and the sun. And it goes beyond that aspect of life where we decide whether we want to be engaged or disengaged. Because disengaged is really about not being connected with the sun, not being connected with the light. And the opposite of being disengaged is being eternal. So that when you are absolutely seeking the light, moving toward the light, then you are more in touch with your eternal aspect than you are with anything that's in the temporal or egoic realms. Ernest Holmes says, man, the only self-conscious being in the world, must be the light of the world. I don't know if other animals and plants are conscious, self-conscious. I don't know. I'm not a plant. I'm not a dog or a monkey or whatever. Maybe they are. But his perception, I believe, was not just simply about being aware of ourselves, but I think what Ernest Holmes was talking about is being aware of our divine self, being aware of us as a divine aspect of life, of creation. And that, therefore, we get to have dominion. And see, when you forget who you are and you start doing things that are corrupt, when you forget who you are and you start bending the law, when you forget who you are and you start making very insulting comments about people, I'm not talking about anybody in the White House. If you forget about that, then you're not being self-conscious, right? If you forget about that, you're not being the light of the world. Don't you know you were intended to be magnificent? Say that to your neighbor. Don't you know that you were intended to be magnificent? Well, maybe you know now. I'm going to tell you what else Ernest Holmes said. He said, we are building on an eternal foundation. Ernest Holmes says, we are building on an eternal foundation. One that time cannot alter, nor experience destroy. Oh, you better get this. We're building on an eternal foundation. We're not on sinking sand. It's firm. This God, this presence, this grace is immovable. It's not going anywhere. It is absolutely supporting us throughout eternity. That's an eternal foundation. Never doubt that. Never doubt that. Say to your neighbor, never doubt that. So we're building on that. How many of us would do some fabulous things if we knew that we had a support system, right? How many of us would do phenomenal things if we knew we had a support system? Well, guess what? We do. So don't look for any human who may forget that they're self-conscious. They may forget that they're self-conscious, or they may not be conscious yet of their divine self. But here you get the opportunity to build on that. And it doesn't matter. Well, you know, I'm 80, da-da-da, I'm 70, da-da-da, I'm 90, da-da-da. It doesn't matter. He said that it is not altered by time. So if you didn't do it in 1930, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90s, early 2000s, it's irrelevant. We are not prisoners of time. We are building on an eternal foundation, and I don't even care what your experiences have been. I hear all kind of victory stories sometimes when people come in my office. They don't always bring me doom and gloom. So regardless of what the experiences have been, that eternal foundation was not destroyed. So, when we're looking at the divine holding us as some part of its eternal perfection, And here we are, ready to fulfill our divine destiny. Here we are, ready to fulfill our destiny when we know that we are divine, when we know that we are perfect. And so here we go, not simply being caught up by conditions. This young man was on Ellen one day. His name was Zion. Zion had this special condition. This particular condition is like a spinal thing, and sometimes people are born with legs that have this condition, and sometimes people are not born with legs that have this condition. So Zion had no legs. His mother had diabetes when she was carrying him. His mother was also doing a lot of drugs. In fact, his mother was in prison when she conceived him. And yes, that didn't work out for Zion physically, right? And Zion, of course, went into the foster system. He went into the system, and he had experiences of being beaten. He had experiences of being starved. Well, you know there's a happy ending because it was on the Ellen show, right? So what happened was this woman who had just been adopting girls, she was a foster mom, she had just been having girls, and then they said, well, you know, we got this person, and she's like, I don't know, and then she saw him, she said, that's my son, right? And so he became part of their family. And so Zion, first of all, I don't even know if I can show y'all this. He comes out walking on his hands. He comes out walking on his hands like it ain't no thing. Like boom, 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 right? And jumps up on the couch like it ain't no thing, right? He got a piece of something near his hip and he's using his hands, and this dude is like headed for the Paralympics and has the ambition to head to the regular Olympics. Wrestling. I saw the video and I was like, oh, okay, because they can't grab his legs, but he can grab everything they got, right? And Ella said, boy, you're strong, because you know they always hug somebody. And I was like, whoa, this dude is able to throw around these guys that are 2 or 3 times his size, right? So nothing destroyed him. Nothing destroyed him. And he always knew that there was something greater for him. He always knew that. All of us are unique. How are you unique? It's important for you to think about that question, because your uniqueness is not only your destiny, but it is your ministry. What do you stand for? Right? Do you stand for something that is life affirming? Do you stand for love? Because when you stand for something that is loving, when you stand for light, when you stand for wisdom, when you stand for peace, when you stand for freedom, when you stand for justice, when you stand for joy, then you attract the best to you in your life. Okay, so a lot of people will say, well, you know, I want to think about this vision board, blah, 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 and then I'm expecting it to come into my life. It's really more energetically. It was the energy that the wise folks from the East were following. They were following an energy. They were coming to a destination that was unknown. In fact, they ended up at the wrong place. They just knew that there was something magnificent that they were heading towards, so they thought that it was the king of the Jews, that it was Herod. They thought that it was that. But they ended up in the wrong place because somehow they forgot they were wise and started getting caught up in that word king, get caught up in that rather than following the light, right? So understand that there are always going to be this mentalism aspect that the Kabbalion will tell us about and Joseph Hannell will tell us about is part of the foundations of things that we know now, like science of mind and many more deeper, wise texts. But there's an unknowable and undefinable and a universal infinite mind. And that is underlying all of the manifestations and all of the appearances. So it doesn't matter what those manifestations are. It doesn't matter what those appearances are. And we have to remember that. I got upset when I was looking on Facebook. I participate in this group page that Tracy Brown has. It's about what is mine to do. And it's about race. I got very, 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 very upset because this woman in Iowa, white woman, runs over this 14-year-old teenager. The teenager was on the sidewalk. Okay, so the teenager's hit unconscious. This isn't an accident. The teenager's like in a coma. The teenager's like, really immobilized and got all kind of physical things going on. And the family is like, we got to find out who did this. We got to find out who did this. So finally, when they traced it back to this woman, she said, yeah, I hit her because she was Mexican. So this is essentially attempted murder, right? Because she was somehow perceiving that she needed to destroy this being. She needed to destroy this being. And I was like, And they had her on some kind of, I don't know if it was a parole. I should have wrote that down, but it was like this. There was like this very minimal punishment. And I'm thinking, who knows how long it's going to take this child to recover from this incident, not only physically, but mentally. And I dropped into my version 1.0 God, and I said, well, she needs to spend about as much time in pain as this child has to spend in pain. And I realized, I dropped into separation. I dropped into separation, and punishment must be had. Because when I did that, I forgot that each and every expression of God is exactly that. And that all of us receive some light, and the light is always the same light. That's what Ernest Holmes tells us. So what I realize is that I have to keep doing my work. I have to keep learning compassion. I have to keep embracing these situations where I'm challenged by behaviors, where I'm challenged by mindsets, where I'm challenged by separation. And I get to say, it's not just their separation, it's mine too. So I don't get to be in some kind of exalted state when I'm in separation and determining what should happen in somebody else's life, particularly when it is meant to be painful. So this is why we have to remember this eternal light lives within us. This is why we have to see in everyone, as Ernest Holmes would tell us, a budding genius. Oh, I may not be a genius yet, but I'm working on it. A becoming God. Oh, I may not be in my divine 24/7, but I'm working on it. An unfolding soul. I am unfolding. And as long as I stay following the light, then what it is as my eternal destiny will be something that I will be blissful about, something that will give me so much joy that I can dance all the way around my joy, in my joy, spreading the joy and being the joy wherever I go. So that is what I'm inviting us into. I'm inviting us into an awareness and a constant, conscious conversation with our eternal light. to dance and move and reposition in any way that we need to in order for us to get back on track. Because the more you practice, the sooner you will be able to recover from forgetting who you are. Because if you get so far away from that relationship by oh, well, I'm going to skip meditation today. Oh, well, y'all don't have to pray today. I prayed twice yesterday. Now, without ceasing, continue to cultivate that light. Continue to move that shadow out of the way. Continue to move past whatever the experiences are, whatever the conditions were, whatever the unforgiveness is trying to rear its ugly head, and know that I am somebody. I am on my way to be even greater than I imagined, because this is the only thing that God requires of me. And all I have to do is surrender to that, and to know the surrendering is not a weaker position, but it is the position that allows me to be available and accessible to anything and everything that is important about me. That is my loving, that is my light, my wisdom, and the knowing of who I am. Please do so. Namaste. Thank you, Deborah. Thank you for the prayer box. Thank you for your love. As practitioners remain standing, ministers remain standing, I invite us into this prayer field, this field of all the eternal light, this field of eternal love, this field of eternal goodness, this field of compassion, this field of knowing, this field of truth. Yeah. This is the space from which we were created and the space in which we will live eternally. And so I'm knowing that this is true for each one of us. It's true for the people in Australia, where their entire continent is on fire. That all of the carbon that is there in that particular geographic area, we just surround them with our loving light. We just surround them with that watering light, because they are without rain, and we are knowing for all of those wonderful people, including all the indigenous people, including all of the people in the cities and everywhere on that continent, we just send them East Bay light. We send them our loving light. Yeah. We know that because we would want it for ourselves, that we know that they would want it as well. And so we absolutely know and accept that God's grace is sufficient, and that we lend the grace that we have into the awareness as we send that energy in their direction, knowing peace for each of them, abundant life for each of them, expansive lives for each of them, knowing wholeness, perfection, and completeness for each one, the animals as well as the people, the birds as well as the trees. So I'm knowing that I surround the life and the family of Jean Wiley, knowing that as she has shuffled off the mortal coil, that her family may still be in recovery mode. Her friends who may even be here are still in recovery mode. So we surround each one with love. We surround each one with peace, for we know that this light that Jean is not going out, that it is just moving into an invisible place where we can no longer see her, but the imprint that she has left is still with us. We know that right where Queen Michelle's sister, Janine Williamson, is, that God is, that there's wholeness there, that beyond the diagnosis, beyond the habits, beyond this procedure or that treatment, that there is something within her that has never been hurt and will never be minimized, diminished, or altered in any way, that it is her very essence, her eternal truth. We know that everyone who has been on our prayer list, whether it was Ayana's sister Dorothy, or Reverend Gill's grandbabies, Aaliyah and Brinley, or Yosefu's twin grandbabies, that each one of them are absolutely being in the awareness of the magnificence. We stand in that gap. If they are not, we stand in that gap so that they may know that the connection that they are seeking is that Christ connection, is that which transcends any seeming separation between God and life, that all of it is one and it is flowing easily and effortlessly, peacefully, gracefully, and serenely. Knowing that right where these United States are, that God is. And that, wherever we may have descended, we are on the rise now. That we're moving into a greater awareness, not wasting our time about what should have happened and what could have happened, but absolutely knowing that there's something greater. Because we've had the model, we've seen the story. We know that as there was a descent, there will be an ascent, and we are positioning ourselves to rise with the ascent. Amen. For we know that this is what love does, and this is what love is. And so I just bless everyone who has placed anything in this prayer box, knowing that where there is some kind of feeling of dis-ease, where there is some kind of feeling of disconnect, there's some kind of feeling of disarray, that God is able to be that content, to be that absolute peace, to be that order where there is disarray, to be that prosperity where there seems to be lack, to see that abundance where harmony appears to be missing, that all of the relationships are mended now, not in the future, but now, that all of the health challenges are completely behind us now, that each one of the money drama stories is behind us now, and we get to tell an ascension story about how I got over. And so we get to celebrate our richness, the richness of our spirit that reveals itself in the richness of our bank accounts, that reveals itself in the richness, loving, harmonious relationships that gets to be revealed to us as a body temple that can reposition whenever it needs to, how it needs to, because that which is eternal is allowing me to do that. So in gratitude for it all, I release my word, I let it be, and so it is. Amen. Thank you again. Is Sharita in the house? Well, maybe she'll be with us next Sunday. She was delayed helping a friend. I thought I'd check just in case she made it here. We want y'all to be aware. Better together. It's pledge time. And now is the time we need to know. There's some pledge forms back there. If you raise your hand, the usher will bring it to you. There's a pledge form there so you can decide how you want to support this community that is supporting you. And we're just getting started in the ways that we're going to support you even more. There's an expansive list of what has occurred in 2019, and perhaps we'll talk about that next week. But what you need to know is it's getting even better. And so if you want to invest in more joy, you want to fill out a pledge card today. But we're knowing that this is a time of offertory. So while we're thinking about prosperity, while we're thinking about abundance, while we're thinking about grace, know that it is that is guiding us to give where we are spiritually fed. Oh, there's nothing poor about me. I don't care what was happening with the little drummer boy. Because it wasn't about how much money he had, but it was about the richness of his spirit. So we're giving today with the understanding that there's a richness that we are heirs to, and that we can give with abandon because we know that we have it, because we are it. And so it is. here, please. I'm going to ask you to bless our tithes and offerings. This is Reverend Gil Olmsted.
So let's just take a moment and know that these gifts that have come forth from our hearts. That this is not money or anything that we have created. This is simply an offering of what we already are, what we have. And that offering brings forth in this place, through this group, through this congregation, an expression of love and peace and joy in Oakland that would otherwise not be present. And so we are grateful for that. We give thanks for it, and we give thanks for all that is ours. So it is. Amen.
So it is. Amen. Thank you, sir. Thank you, ushers. Thank you, givers. And the children have been back there working on something. What's going on?
All kinds of things are going on. Good morning, East Bay. Is the mic on? Good morning, East Bay. Today's lesson for the youth was about Christmas and to celebrate the birth of Jesus and the life experience he had of sharing and an example of love and kindness. So this morning, the children are going to share with us how they celebrate Christmas and their expression of love with their families.
Good morning, East Bay.
Good morning.
I'm Imani, and how I celebrate Christmas is hanging out with my family.
Yeah.
Hello, my name's Amanda, and how I celebrate Christmas is I hang out with families and open presents.
Hello, my name is Robert, and how I celebrate Christmas, I go straight to the presents.
How I celebrate Christmas, my name's Gio, and how I celebrate Christmas is opening presents and hanging out with family.
My name is Lucas, and how I celebrate Christmas is by hanging out with my family and opening presents.
Hello, my name is Daniel, and the way I celebrate Christmas is I hang out with family and open presents. And this is the affirmation that we have. The living spirit is the power of love within us.
Thank you so much, youth. Thank you so much.
Let's bless them. Let's bless these beautiful beings of light. And we'll just know all of their names by saying children. We know that your bodies are not that of an adult.
We know that your bodies are not that of an adult.
But that your spirits are not confined by any age.
That your spirits are not confined by any age.
We celebrate with you your enthusiasm about Christmas.
We celebrate with you your enthusiasm about Christmas.
We know that Mas means more.
We know that Mas means more.
And that we are celebrating you as expressions of more.
And we're celebrating you as expressions of more.
We see more light from you.
We see more light.
We see more joy from you.
We see more joy from you.
We see more love for you.
We see more love for you.
We thank God for you.
We thank God.
And so it is. Amen. Thank you so much. We're grateful for Georgia and Al who were with the children today. We know that they were blessed and supported in the best possible ways. And so as we come to a close of our service, we're knowing that there's some food there. We're knowing that some of us have a meeting with our music department today. And we're knowing that tomorrow the practitioners are going to be praying with people here from 6:30 to 7:30, and that it's free for people who could charge 3 digits and stuff for their time. And so I'm knowing that even as we get ready for our beautiful candlelight service on Tuesday, where we get to celebrate more of the light that we are, that it's another opportunity for us to allow the Christ within us to rise. Let's stand now and reach for the hand of God beside you. As we take that collective breath together, we give thanks for the beautiful music that has been presented, for the wonderful pulpit assistant, the high consciousness of our vigil holders and our treatment box holder. We give thanks for the service of our ushers and for our youth staff. We give thanks for those who are busy in the kitchen already, and we give thanks for being together this day. So we celebrate the increasing joy, and heaven is singing to us and through us as we give thanks for all that we have and all that we are. In gratitude, I release my word and I let it be, and so it is.